So like Don. This stuff here is Don was Don. Some people try to well.
I take it.
Oh, yeah. Battery. Although it counts as smooth to the back. One that's got the one that's got it's fine. Councilman. Coming to me. And he wanted, I'm like, I walked him. Yeah. Speaking of spot. Yeah, I did. I said.
It's 7 o'clock. It's time to start our Newark City Council meeting tonight. Jean, please call the roll.
Ms. Blind? Yes. Mr. Harris?
Yes.
Ms. Hattiger? Here. Mr. Hauser?
Here.
Mr. Labutus?
Here.
Mr. Lang?
Present.
Mr. Marmy?
Present.
Mr. Rath?
Here.
Mr. Ryan?
Here.
Mr. Parker?
Here.
We're all here with stamp and invocation by Mr. Hauser, please.
Let's pray. Lord, I want to thank you so much for all the many ways you've blessed us in this city and in this country. I pray that you would watch over the proceedings here tonight. I think you'd also watch over all of our safety forces, our firefighters, our police officers, anyone serving as first responders here in our community. I just want to thank you for this season, the Christmas season that we're in. I pray, Lord, that all of us would truly remember the reason why we're celebrating Christmas and the sacrifice of your son. Amen.
Amen.
Would you please join me in the pledge of allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Next up on our agenda is caucus. This is time for council to discuss anything. We have anything tonight?
Mr. President,
Yes.
make a motion to excuse Mr. Ellington.
Second. Okay. By Marmy, second by Parker. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, that passes.
Mr. President, I also want to make it known that we will invoke Rule 11. Do we want to do those now, or do you want to do it in miscellaneous?
Let's do them now and go by the way.
So I'll make a motion to invoke Rule 11, or I'll approve for invoking Rule 11.
All right, I'll second that as the president. So. Yep.
Ordinance number 22-52 by Mr. Marmy, Mr. Barker, and Ms. Blind, an ordinance to make an appropriation for the expenditures of the city of Newark, Ohio during the year ending December 31st, 2023.
President,
Mr. Marmy.
are these emergency? They're not, correct?
They're not.
Motion to waive the 2-day reading rule on ordinance 22-52.
Motion by Marmy, second by White. Any discussion? Good, take a vote.
Ms. Blind,
Yes.
Mr. Harris.
Yes.
Ms. Hattiger.
Yes.
Mr. Hauser.
Yes.
Mr. Labutus.
Yes.
Mr. Lang.
Yes.
Mr. Marmy.
Yes.
Mr. Rath.
Yes.
Mr. Ryan.
Yes.
Mr. Parker.
Yes.
That passes,
Mr. President,
yes.
I make a motion to adopt ordinance 22-52.
Okay, we got, thought by Marmy, second by Lang. I know. Any discussion? Mr. Marmy?
Thank you, Mr. President. I would like to make a motion to amend ordinance 22-52 as follows. From account 100.204, fire 5,200, all other accounts. Reduce that by 80,000, making the new total $1,327,327. And also, from 100.111, transfer out 5,200. All other accounts increased by 80,000, making the new total $5,638,152.
Second.
So we got a motion by Marmy, second by Lane to make an amendment. Call the roll, please.
Ms. Blind,
Yes.
Mr. Harris,
Yes.
Ms. Hattiger.
Yes.
Mr. Hauser.
Yes.
Mr. Labutus.
Yes.
Mr. Lang.
Yes.
Mr. Marmy.
Yes.
Mr. Rath.
Yes.
Mr. Ryan.
Yes.
Mr. Barker.
Yes.
So the amendment's been passed 10-0. So now, what's that?
Adopted.
Yeah, now we call a roll to adopt 22-52.
Ms. Blind,
Yes.
Mr. Harris,
Yes.
Ms. Hattiger,
Yes.
Mr. Hauser,
Yes.
Mr. Labutus.
Yes.
Mr. Lang,
Yes.
Mr. Marmy.
Yes.
Mr. Rath,
Yes.
Mr. Ryan.
Yes.
Mr. Barker.
Yes.
That passes 10-0. Next up is 22-53.
Ordinance number 22-53 by
Mr. President,
Yes.
we have to do it before we read it. don't we?
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
read it first.
No, go ahead.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
Ordinance number 22-53 by Mr. Marmy, Mr. Barker, and Ms. Blind, in ordinance to make an appropriation for the expenditures of the city of Newark, Ohio during the year ending December 31st, 2023.
Mr. President,
Mr.
make a
Marmy,
motion to waive the 2-day reading rule on ordinance 22-53.
Second.
motion by Mr. Marmy, second by Mr. Lane, to waive the 2-day reading rule.
Ms. Blind,
Yes.
Mr. Harris,
Yes.
Ms. Hattiger.
Yes.
Mr. Hauser,
Yes.
Mr. Labutus.
Yes.
Mr. Lang.
Yes.
Mr. Marmy.
Yes.
Mr. Rath,
Yes.
Mr. Ryan.
Yes.
Mr. Barker.
Yes.
And that passes 10-0.
Mr. President,
Mr. Marmy,
make a motion to adopt ordinance 22-53.
Second.
motion by Mr. Marmy to adopt, second by Mr. Lane.
Mr.
Ready to
President,
discuss, go ahead, Mr. Marmy.
I want to make a motion to amend from 153.100, general 5,100 personnel services account, add $275,000, making the new total 225,000. Also from 221.302. Street 5,200, all other accounts increased by 100,000, making the new total $1,704,125. And then from the 335.204 fire 5,200, all other accounts increased by $80,000, making the new total $359,984.
Second.
So we got a motion by Mr. Marmy, second by Mr. Lang to amend.
Mr. President,
Yes.
quick clarification question. Mr. Marmy, I believe you read that we were adding on 153-100, general 5100, adding 275,000 to make a new total of 225,000.
That's what she is right now. Let's make that.
Yeah, I was just gonna say, you reduced part of the budget by 50,000 and then increased the rest of the budgets by 183,000. You got some words wrong.
You have a copy of that ordinance.
The one.
Okay, it's it was add 270 or add 225,000, making the total 275,000. Yes, so the 153.100 general 5100 personnel services account, add 225,000, making the new total 275,000.
Thank you, Mr. Marmy.
Yes, thank you.
Any other question? Mr. Rath?
Is the where's the money coming from, since you went disappointed?
What that's doing is we are moving the compensated absences. We're increasing that amount. So then we don't have to come every single time we have somebody depart for their payouts. And the only time we'll have to do it is at the end of the year. We approve all of those 100%. We've never not approved them. So what it's going to allow is the auditor's office to handle those payouts until this budget runs out. We estimated a little low, so more than likely in next year, November, December, we may have to do a few possibly. But we're just giving that flexibility to them so that it does not have to come through personnel. It's a compensated absence. That's all there.
Can you read your motion one more time, just so I have the things right?
Yes. That was 153.100 general 5100 personnel services account, add 225,000, making the new total 275,000.
But after that, you said. no.
All the rest, the 221.302 streets, all other accounts increased by 100,000, making the new total $1,704,125. And then the 335.204 fire 5200, all other accounts increased by 80,000, making the new total $359,984.
So these are all increases, not taking away from anything.
The 80,000 took it away from the general fund and is putting it in here into a capital improvement. That's the one that we're moving the 80,000 from operating to capital improvement. We're able to find the additional $100,000 within the budget. Not having to take it away from anywhere else. We were able to find some additional revenue from when she had done the budget until now. And that's why that 100,000 is able to be there without having to move it into our street maintenance.
Okay, thank you.
My pleasure.
Any other questions? Okay. So there's amendment by Minister Marmy, second by Mr. Lyon.
To amend.
To amend.
Ms. Blind?
Yes.
Mr. Harris?
Yes.
Ms. Hattiger?
Yes.
Mr. Hauser?
Yes.
Mr. Labutus?
Yes.
Mr. Lang?
Yes.
Mr. Marmy?
Yes.
Mr. Rath?
Yes,
Mr. Ryan?
Yeah.
Mr. Barker?
Yes.
Okay, that's 10-0.
The amendment.
The amendment, right, the amendment passes. So now. Make a motion. We already made a motion to adopt, so we need to vote for the to adopt it.
the motion as amended.
Yes.
Yeah. Ms. Blind? Yes. Mr. Harris?
Yes.
Ms. Hattiger?
Yes.
Mr. Hauser?
Yes.
Mr. Labutus?
Yes.
Mr. Lang?
Yes.
Mr. Marmy?
Yes.
Mr. Rath?
Yes,
Mr. Ryan?
Yes.
Mr. Barker?
Yes.
Okay, that passes 10-0. Next on the agenda is 22-54.
Ordinance number 22-54 by Mr. Marmy, Mr. Barker, and Ms. Blind, an ordinance to make an appropriation for the expenditures of the city of Newark, Ohio during the year ending December 31st, 2023.
Mr. President,
Mr. Marmy,
make a motion to waive the 2-day reading rule on ordinance 22-54.
Second.
motion to waive the 2-day reading rule by Mr. Marmy, second by Mr. Lang.
Ms. Blind? Yes. Mr. Harris?
Yes.
Ms. Hattiger?
Yes.
Mr. Hauser?
Yes.
Mr. Labutus?
Yes.
Mr. Lang?
Yes.
Mr. Marmy?
Yes.
Mr. Rath?
yes,
Mr. Ryan?
Yes.
Mr. Barker?
Yes.
That passes 10-0.
Mr. President,
Mr. Marmy,
make a motion to adopt ordinance 22-54.
Second.
motion to adopt by Mr. Marmy, second by Mr. Lang. Janine, any discussion? Janine, please call the roll.
Ms. Blind? Yes. Mr. Harris?
Yes.
Ms. Hattiger?
Yes.
Mr. Hauser?
Yes.
Mr. Labutus?
Yes.
Mr. Lang?
Yes.
Mr. Marmy?
Yes.
Mr. Rath?
yes,
Mr. Ryan?
Yes.
Mr. Barker?
Yes.
That passes 10-0. We're good, right? All right, next. Yep, next on the agenda is the minutes of the December 5th, 2022 meeting.
Motion.
Second.
Motion by Barker, second by Hauser. All in favor?
Aye.
Pass 10-0. Appointments are none, this meeting. Reports of standing committees, finance service personnel without exception, all will be received and filed. Reports from city officials, city auditor Ryan Bob, operating report for the period ending November 30th, 2022. Brenda Cooper, tax administrative office. Income tax revenue reports for the period ending November 30th, 2022. Communications, there are none this meeting. Next on the agenda is comments from citizens. There's two places on the agenda where you can make citizen comments. Do we have any tonight? Raise your hand. Miss- Go ahead. Oh, he didn't raise his hand. Did he? One of you guys. Okay, well, let's go.
Stephen Smith, 237 Violet Court, Newark, Ohio. First of all, a couple of things I want to bring up. In the last meeting, Mr. Rath brought up the issue of the food pantry motion. I wanted to thank him for doing that because I feel that's a very important program for our community. Something that I have tried to support for years, and I haven't heard any results for that particular promotion. But this is particularly a good time of year to do that. So it's always a good time of year to support that sort of program. Second thing I wanted to bring up is that I had the pleasure to participate in a meeting on homelessness issues on December 8th. It was well attended by many community members and also by Councilman Marmy and Water Director Moore. We had a very productive meeting with many people that are stakeholders in this issue, including people from United Way and many other community activists and members. I look forward to working with council to implement evidence-based solutions to this very important problem. I just want to make a very brief comment on basis of very sparse information right now that I just heard on the news today that San Diego is California is looking into a program not only to address homelessness, but to try to head off homelessness from becoming a problem in the first place. And I understand that San Diego is a very different situation than ours, but I think it's always better to avoid a problem than to try to solve it afterwards. So I would like to personally look into this more myself and suggest that this is something that is considered in the future. Thank you very much.
Rochelle Roland Smith, 237 Violet Court. I have several, actually, a number of things that I'd like to talk about. One is, again, I would like to thank Jeff Rath for taking the initiative, especially on his birthday, to bestow a very generous gift to the meeting. I would also like to express my joy, actually, for having a meeting recently that was inclusive of so many people in the community that take an interest in the poverty-stricken and homeless, especially this time of year where, for instance, this week, the temperatures is going to start out 10 degrees or below, and that doesn't include wind chill factor. I think we need to address this situation in a timely manner. I would like to also remind the city that Mansfield, which is sort of a comparable city in size, does have a program that deals more preventatively than our city. They just had a name change. So I would advise looking it up. They include mental health sort of things, housing, just homeless things. And I appreciate the homework that they did. I'd also like to say that in that the city just passed what I consider a bypass of informing the public of financial matters in this city, that there is some sort of way of building in accountability to the public so that they can get that information as well. And especially considering addressing important issues like helping our fire department and police department and clerk of courts, which do a lot of service to the city. And lastly, I would like to say at this time of enlightenment, I would like to wish everybody a season of peace. light or enlightenment, as most cultures in the city, which is more than one. That we recognize all peoples in our city for being spiritual contributions to the city. I would also like to see more separation of church and state in council and otherwise. There's a reason for fathers separation of church and state. And frankly, I think this needs to be addressed. Thank you.
Anybody else want to speak at this time?
Kevin Garwick, President, Newark Firefighters, IAFF Local 109. I just wanted to give everyone a quick update, keep everyone informed. We will have 4 more firefighters separating employment from the city the first couple weeks of January. 1 is retiring and 3 are leaving for higher paying jobs. 2 of which, the 2 of the 3 that are leaving have over 13 years of service and the other one has over 8 years of service. So just want to keep everybody updated. This will take our total vacancies up to 12. Our 84 is our total number. We're down to 12 positions currently. So that's it. Thank you.
Anybody else would like to speak at this time? Not, we'll move on. Next, we have ordinance on the second reading, 22-47.
Ordinance number 22-47 by Mr. Barker, Ms. Blind, Mr. Labutus, Mr. Marmy, Mr. Rath, and Mr. Hauser. Amending ordinance number 06-61 to include additional public infrastructure improvements related to an existing tax increment financing exemption in the city of Newark, Ohio, granted pursuant to section 5709.40B of the Ohio Revised Code, Mount Vernon Road TIF, and authorizing a supplement to the revenue sharing agreement with Newark City School District.
Mr. President,
Mr. Barker,
I'd like to make a motion to adopt ordinance 22-7.
Second.
motion to adopt by Mr. Barker, second by Mr. Hauser. Do we have any discussion on this? Janine, please call the roll.
Ms. Blind,
Yes.
Mr. Harris.
Yes.
Ms. Hottinger.
Yeah.
Mr. Hauser.
Yes.
Mr. Labutus.
Yes.
Mr. Lang.
Yes.
Mr. Marmy.
Yes.
Mr. Rath.
Yes.
Mr. Ryan.
Yes.
Mr. Barker.
Yes.
That passes 10-0. Next on the agenda, ordinance on the first reading, 22-51.
Ordinance number 22-51 by Mr. Lang, Mr. Barker, Ms. Blind. An ordinance amending the department authorization tables of the Licking County Municipal Court Adult Probation Department and abolishing the position of senior probation officer from hourly non-bargaining personnel unit classifications and creating a senior probation officer in the management and supervisory exempt unit classifications and setting the compensation therefore.
This will be held until our next meeting, which will be January the 3rd. Next is resolutions on the second reading, 22-107.
Resolution number 22-107 by Mr. Rath, Mr. Barker, Ms. Blind, Mr. Labutus, and Mr. Marmy. A resolution authorizing and directing the Director of Public Service of the City of Newark, Ohio to advertise for bids and enter into a contract for the replacement of the roofing system of the influent pump station at the wastewater treatment plant.
Mr. President,
Mr. Rath.
make a motion to adopt 22-107.
Second.
Motion to adopt by Mr. Rath, second by Mr. Barker. Do we have any discussion on this? Janine, please call the roll.
Ms. Blind,
Yes.
Mr. Harris.
Yes.
Ms. Hogging,
Yes.
Mr. Hauser,
Yes.
Mr. Labutus,
Yes.
Mr. Lang,
Yes.
Mr. Marmy.
Yes.
Mr. Rath,
Yes.
Mr. Ryan.
Yes.
Mr. Barker.
Yes.
That passes 10-0. Next up on the agenda is 22-109.
Resolution number 22-109 by Mr. Rath, Mr. Barker, Ms. Blind, and Mr. Marmy. A resolution authorizing and directing the Director of Public Service of the City of Newark, Ohio to proceed with the steps necessary to designate a portion of West Main Street between 6th Street and 3rd Street in the downtown area as Herbert J. Murphy Jr. Way.
Mr. President,
Mr. Rath.
make a motion to adopt 22-109.
Second.
Motion to adopt by Mr. Rath, second by Mr. Barker. Do we have any discussion? Janine, please call the roll.
Ms. Blind,
Yes.
Mr. Harris.
Yes.
Ms. Hattiger,
Yes.
Mr. Hauser,
Yes.
Mr. Labutus.
Yes.
Mr. Lang,
Yes.
Mr. Marmy,
Yes.
Mr. Rath,
Yes,
Mr. Ryan,
Yes.
Mr. Barker.
Yes.
That passes 10-0. Next on the agenda is resolutions on the first reading, 22-110.
Resolution number 22-110 by Mr. Rath, Mr. Barker, Ms. Blind, Mr. Marmy, a resolution authorizing the Director of Public Service to execute a contract for reimbursement of legal representation of indigent persons for calendar year 2023 with the Licking County Board of Commissioners for the city of Newark, Licking County, Ohio, and declaring an emergency.
This is on the first reading, but it is an emergency.
Mr. President,
Mr. Rath.
make a motion to adopt 22-110.
Second. Motion by Mr. Rath, second by Mr. Lang. Any discussion? Please call the roll.
Ms. Blind,
Yes.
Mr. Harris.
Yes.
Ms. Hattiger,
Yes.
Mr. Hauser,
Yes.
Mr. Labutus.
Yes.
Mr. Lang.
Yes.
Mr. Marmy.
Yes.
Mr. Rath,
Yes,
Mr. Ryan.
Yes.
Mr. Barker.
Yes.
That passes 10-0. And our last piece for tonight and for the year is 22-111.
Resolution number 22-111 expedite by Mr. Marmy, Mr. Barker, and Ms. Blind. A resolution appropriating monies for current expenses of the municipal corporation.
Mr. President,
Mr. Marmy.
make a motion to waive the 2-day reading rule on resolution 22-111.
Second. We have a motion to waive the 2-day reading rule by Mr. Marmy, second by Mr. Lang. Janine, please call the roll.
Ms. Blind,
Yes.
Mr. Harris.
Yes.
Ms. Hattiger.
Yes.
Mr. Hauser.
Yes.
Mr. Labutus.
Yes.
Mr. Lang.
Yes.
Mr. Marmy.
Yes.
Mr. Rath.
yes,
Mr. Ryan.
Yes.
Mr. Barker.
Yes.
That passes.
Mr. President,
Yes.
make a motion to adopt resolution 22-111.
Second. Motion to adopt by Mr. Marmy, second by Mr. Lang. Do we have any discussion on this? Janine, please call the roll.
Ms. Blind,
Yes.
Mr. Harris.
Yes.
Ms. Hattiger.
Yes.
Mr. Hauser.
Yes.
Mr. Labutus.
Yes.
Mr. Lang.
Yes.
Mr. Marmy.
Yes.
Mr. Rath.
yes,
Mr. Ryan.
Yes.
Mr. Barker.
Yes.
That passes 10-0. Next up is comments from citizens. This is your last chance for the year. Do we have any?
Linda Mossholder, 224 Green Meadow Drive in Newark. And first of all, I'd like to thank Mr. Hauser for coming to a South Newark Civic Association meeting last Tuesday to discuss the diesel fumes that permeate that area from the trains that are idling. These fumes are very toxic. The citizens have been concerned about this for some time, and I think the citizens appreciated being heard. We did have some good news last week. Fentanyl testing strips are now illegal. So I make a request again for some funding to purchase those to save people's lives. They are now legal in the state of Ohio. The third thing I would like to talk about, and I will thank Ms. Blind for holding that meeting. Last week or, okay, they're all running together now. The week before. On the shelter population in our community. We are going to do everything we possibly can at the Emergency Warming Center Task Force to open the center for 3 days. This is a total volunteer operation. The temperatures are going to be in single digits with wind chills in the minus digit. If we can find enough volunteers, we will open. One of the things to keep in mind, and I did check today, both shelters are full. So we cannot have people who are unhoused go to the shelters. The other thing about the shelters, none of the shelters accept animals or pets. Dogs are very important to our unsheltered population. Just 2 weeks ago, one of our unsheltered residents had a dog, and I looked and I figured, what is he holding this dog by? Was it a really thin little thing? He was trying to use a phone charging cord as a leash, mainly because the leash broke on the way to the outreach, and he didn't want to go back. He said, I was hungry, I wanted to get some food, I don't want to go back. So we looked throughout our building. We did not have any leashes. We do give people dog food. We now have leashes, so we can replace leashes when they break. The other thing this week, and it was cold this week, he came back, dog did have a leash. But what I noticed when he did, it was a very big dog. I mean, I'm talking about this big. He had taken an old worn sweater and had cut out a place so the dog's paws, legs could go through it. That dog basically had a coat on. So the pets are very important to our unsheltered. One of the things that is nice about the warming center is that we do allow pets. We sort of had about 4 dogs this year, a couple of cats, Nancy. Yeah. We do have kennels. We have dog food for the pets, and Licking Memorial, who will be providing transportation, will allow unsheltered people with their pets on the transportation. One of the things, and I heard that there is a decrease in the number of firefighters. I think one of the things to be very concerned about this time of the year is people will be setting fires to keep warm. Not necessarily outside, but also they may be using different types of ways to keep warm in their house. With the expected winds that we're going to have, we could anticipate some power outages. So I do think we need to be aware of that. One of the things I would like to request, no, I'm going to say I'm going to beg. I would beg that we do not tear down any of the encampments for the rest of this week. One of the reasons that people do not use the shelter is they're afraid that when they go back, all of their possessions will be trash and their tent will be trash, so they will not use the shelter. I don't want to see us reduce the homeless population by letting them freeze to death. So I just encourage, at least for the rest of this week, that no action be taken to remove some of those encampments. Thank you.
Percent Bowman's not 237 Violet Court. Two more issues. One is, I knew the Herbert Murphy family, and they were very good people. The other thing is, thank you, Linda, for wonderful news, particularly about fentanyl strips. I was very distraught this year when I heard that fentanyl was being offered to children in some schools this year throughout the country, and that it was being offered in candy form. This having fentanyl strips is an obvious and inexpensive answer to some of these sort of problems, and I am so delighted to hear that the city is acknowledging the need. Thank you.
Tim.
Yes, old people. Nick Waldron, 167 South Stanton Street. And again, I was not here last council meeting and my name came up. 3 times this year. Thank you, Jeff. I look on eBay, Facebook worldwide, and I say thank you. And annoying thing, I don't believe in that religious stuff, but I do believe one thing. I want to say something against wolves. Merry Christmas, everybody. Thank you.
Anybody else? Any city officials tonight? Hello, Director.
Hi,
All right.
thank you. First of all, Merry Christmas to everyone. There are a couple points I'd like to bring up, especially with the block cameras. The Councilman Lang, Councilman Marmy, Councilman Blind, you were essential to that meeting, and I appreciate your participation in that. While it is different than the normal course, that contracts take with the city, when the concerns were raised as they were with this, sometimes a different course, is the best way to go. And I think this was the best way to go. I believe that transparency and communication are key to what we do here in the city. So I want to thank you for your help and all of that. It was a great meeting. Everybody was very open. When Doug said, Block was really willing to work with us. So appreciate the work on that. I also enjoyed attending the homeless meeting. Beth, thank you for setting that up. I think it was important to get all the participating parties there, because nobody can do this by themselves. I'm in the midst of doing a lot of reading right now. But I think you're right. I think you're absolutely right. Homelessness is just the tip of the iceberg. There's so much that leads to that, that if we can intervene at that point, that's the best way to go and prevent people from actually ending out on the streets. And enjoy that, working on the reading, and looking forward to the next meeting on that. And thank you for bringing up the thing about the pets. I don't know if that's something that we can talk with the Humane Society about or not, whether they'd be willing to offer some ideas and help. There was one other thing. Oh, and I'm not sure that they're legal yet. I don't know if they passed the Senate yet. I know the House approved it. I don't know if it's gone to the Senate yet. Did it get to the Senate? Okay, thanks. Thank you, that'll pass.
Mr. Mayor. Yeah, just a couple notes on the budget. I want to thank everybody as we're going to enter a new year here with balanced budgets, and it's always a good thing for the city in many ways. Really want to thank the Auditor Bob and his staff, which worked very hard with all the departments. So thank everyone in all departments. I think we have about 24 departments out there, and a lot of work that they do going back several weeks as they start plugging numbers in. But work with them. They do run efficient shops throughout the year, and that's appreciated in a lot of ways. As we have unspent money, it helps balance the budget in the new year, so that makes it a little bit easier in a lot of ways. And then at the end of the day, surely Finance Chairman Doug Marmy came in with us and talked with us last week, and we appreciate his time for that, to go through that. Obviously, he's done this many times, and his input and perspective is well appreciated. It's a complex budget. There's a lot of parts to it, and I think one time I read many years ago on the general fund side, had about 490 lines to it, or accounts to it. So a lot of parts and pieces, and government accounting is a little different than yours and mine checkbook, as we do out of one account. So we appreciate that a lot. Just to remind everyone, at the first finance meeting in 2023, we'll make an adjustment to that budget probably. So again, it's a good roadmap though, and I think we are strong because we have to have a balanced budget, unlike maybe Washington does. So it makes us strong, but it is also hard that we can't do everything we want to do. With that, I want to thank you throughout the entire year, Council, really, for legislation. My rough numbers, I think we did 111 resolutions and about 54 ordinances. So it's about 165 pieces of legislation. A lot of parts in there, meeting twice a month, a lot of parts and pieces, and a lot of information goes through. I tell people that we deal a lot of different directions of government. Honda makes vehicles, we do a lot of different things. And so that legislation covers quite a gamut, and you get quite a broad perspective of knowledge in a lot of things in this business. But I want to thank everyone. We run a good shop here, I believe, on Monday nights, and we appreciate all the participation by all council members, and for all your time spent here in City Hall. So I wish everyone a Merry Christmas and Happy Holidays, and enjoy them, but also I want to encourage everyone to be very safe and be cognizant and respectful for everyone else in the community. With that, I'll pass.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Ms. Blind.
Yes, sir. Thank you. I too want to thank everyone for coming out to the meeting on the 8th. It was a good time to listen. It was a good time for feedback. Many came, as they stated, with in-place processes that some have been in place for many years. And there were many residents who came who represented just a spectrum. Some have been, affected negatively by homelessness. They've been victims of crimes. Businesses were represented. And so it was a good time to listen, to hear, and as it come together as a community. And much like the law director said, this is an opportunity to hit it before it becomes bigger, to get these things going before there's an even greater problem. Because
those that came have some great solutions, but it's the community. It's the community, guys. We can do this. And I also want to thank Law Director Moore and especially Councilman Lang for the flock meeting. You know, many people, they'll talk to me on the streets and they'll say, oh, they'll never listen, they won't do anything. Right there. Here it is. There were people came and gave great feedback. They gave their opinion. They gave their concerns about flock. And we have some great expertise on council, Mr. Lang, Mr. Marmy, and I'm very grateful for Law Director Moore for setting that meeting up. And not only were changes made that were beneficial to the city, but to other cities that may not be ready, or they may have questions about similar legislation. So I'm very, very grateful for that. I learned a lot. There's a lot to be grateful for. I'd like to thank the city for working diligently on getting West Main Street open through Mr. Rhodes. There's a possibility it will be opening this week, so I'm grateful for that. And I'd like to thank the folks, Basic Tree Service in Shackelford's for helping with a huge site cleanup down in Easy Street Park. We moved out we estimate about 2 tons of trash. And that was very important for the safety of the citizens and all who like that park. And this was my first year. And I'd like to thank all the service departments. I obviously didn't know a lot and they were very patient as I made calls for requests. And we have a great city service department. We really do. They work very hard. And it's very impressive. And I'd also like to thank everyone here. It's just been a great year, and most of all, Service Director Rhodes, and for his vision for the city. It's a big deal. I really appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Hollander.
Thank you, Mr. President. Actually, not too much to say. Hopefully you enjoyed your cookies. Those were compliments of Park National Bank. I only have to tell you that. And I brought calendars.
Oh,
Calendars for next meeting. So it'll be a little different, but you'll see them. If I didn't have my faith, I don't know where I would be. So I'm not going to go and argue about that, but I'm grateful for God and the path that He has set me on. With that, I want to wish everyone Merry Christmas. Thanks.
Mr. Hauser.
Thank you, Mr. President. A couple of things this evening. One, I want to thank Service Director Rhodes for adding a bunch of street lights to Ohio Street down that stretch. They did a little study on the lighting and added a few down there, so I really appreciate him doing that. A couple of residents had requested that. Also want to mention, I appreciate the amendments that Doug had put forward to add some funding to the street budget, potentially his analysis. That's what we end up doing with it, so I appreciate that. One comment that was made with regards to the budget, which I always appreciate citizens' comments. I guess the comment made they were bypassing input from the public. I think we had tried to wrap this up, but sometimes with the end of the year numbers, especially with the unions, it's hard to get that wrapped up before the end of the year. So I don't know that no part of anyone in council is it the intent to bypass any public input. So I'll just add that. Comments made around separation of church and state. I don't think anybody up here, and definitely as a council, have to do anything that is in violation of any principles around church and state. I would echo Councilwoman Hottinger's comment about I don't know where I would be without my faith as well. And I just want to leave it at that. And then it's nice having a president that can hear the seconds I make every once in a while from this side of the council. So I'm taking a shot at Don there. Sorry. He's not here. He's listening, maybe. Hopefully.
He can't hear you anyway.
Well, that's fair. And then I guess I'll just thank all members of council. I really appreciate it. I guess this makes it a full year being on council now. I appreciate everybody walking me through and showing me the ropes on things. I had no idea what I was doing. So really appreciate all of that. And that, yeah. That Merry Christmas.
Thank you, Mr. Hausler. Mr. Labutus.
Thank you, Mr. President. I just want to wish everyone a Merry Christmas. My faith is central to who I am and my family is as well. It's important. So wish everyone a Merry Christmas. Also, thanks to everyone on council and from the city for all the hard work we've done this year. It's been a pleasure to serve with all of you this year. Look forward to doing so again next year. With that, I will pass.
Thank you, Mr. Lang.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. President. Just wish everybody happy holidays. That'll pass next.
Mr. Marmy.
So this is the one time of the year that I do not call a finance committee meeting. That we can start out with one day that we don't make a change. So I'm not gonna call one. Couple comments. I want to thank the VFW for this past weekend. They were passing out baskets to those less fortunate. As far as for their Christmas, I know that they go to a lot of different poverty-stricken areas where folks are residing and they just don't have the means for Christmas. The VFW does a great job in helping those folks to make their Christmas just a little bit better. And I want to thank them for that. Comment as far as bypassing of the funds for the city. It's an open communication system as far as our budget. The three departments that were mentioned, the fire, police, and the clerk of courts, they presented their budgets. The police and the clerk of courts, not one thing was adjusted from what they requested. The fire department, we did make one adjustment, but it was moving something from operations over to capital improvements. The chief was involved in that discussion. He agreed with us. It was a learning experience for him because this is his first budget. Every other department, strong communications with everybody throughout the city. Any citizen received legislation as quickly as it came out. We did have to wait as far as making sure that we had the numbers right that were passed with the firefighters union passing their negotiation and the change of those salaries. So I think it went very well. It's very open, and that there was nothing that was kept from anybody during the entire process. And I think that I want to commend the auditor's office. They do a fantastic job every year, and they have to wait until the last minute to put numbers in, and they're willing to do it, and they do a great job at it and answer a lot of questions that I have. And I really appreciate, and Jim, if you'd pass that on to all of them, I'd appreciate that. I too appreciate Beth getting the meeting together on December the 8th. I really appreciate everybody that was there. The law director was there, Judge George was there. I think that it was a great conversation, a great start to something. I think that in the long run, as long as we work together and sometimes we agree to disagree, I think that we'll be fine. And we just have to work together that, you know, we sometimes have to come from different ways to try to get the same thing accomplished. But we have to stay within our means, especially here within the city. I really loved the young lady that talked about how she was so grateful that, you know, if it wasn't, and the judge was even there, Judge George was there, how the court system, how they saved her life, because they literally forced her into rehab, and it didn't even work the first time. It was the second time, and she was just so thankful and appreciative of that, and the fact that she is where she's at today because of that. And I think that there was a lot of open dialogue, and even if somebody disagreed, they still were there respectful and listening and open. And I thought it was a great meeting. I want to wish everybody a very Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. And as far as the comment of separation of church and state, I'll pray for all of those who do not believe that God should be in all aspects of their life. And with that, I pass.
Thank you, Mr. Marty. Mr. Rath.
Thank you. I was gonna say thank you for the cookies. I was giving you a hard time because I didn't know what date Paul's service committee, because I didn't have a calendar. But since you said they're here. I'll call a service committee meeting for January 3rd, Tuesday. But thank you for the cookies and the calendars as well. As far as the flock camera system goes, I'm glad that it went through. I'm excited about having it in the city of Newark. I'm excited about what it could do for us to help prevent and diminish crime in the areas. But kudos to Jonathan Lang and Beth Blind and anybody else that was involved in the process of reviewing that contract and just kudos to you guys for sticking by your guns and sticking by what you believe. I know that wasn't popular. And I know it wasn't maybe understood at the beginning, but good for you guys. Proud of you. Nice job. I would be really upset if we got plot cameras in the city of Newark before we got cameras on the bodies of our officers. It's been a long time since that's been brought up. I'm not sure what the holdup is. I guess I'll just be upset. As far as the fentanyl strips goes, and being useful at preventing overdoses and saving lives, I believe that probably is accurate. I believe what is equally accurate in preventing overdoses and saving lives is prayer. At this time of the year, I want to encourage everybody to remember what the Christmas season really and truly is about. Use that time to be reflectful and prayerful. And I will wish everybody a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. And with that, I will end this.
Thank you, Mr. Rath. Mr. Ryan?
Thank you, Mr. President. I'd like to second Mr. Rath. Thank you, Jonathan, Beth, for the block. It wasn't a very popular subject, but they threaded the needle, and I know I appreciate that. So Merry Christmas, Happy New Year, and it's even on our currency, and God we trust. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Barker.
Thank you, Mr. President. I just want to wish everyone a Merry Christmas and thank you to our great city staff, the administration, all our city workers, the auditors team, everybody. It's been a great year and we're looking forward to 2023. And with that, I will pass.
Thank you. Mr. Hauser, did you hear the mayor say that Honda makes vehicles? They don't make big boys trucks, they make vehicles. I want to remind everybody that January the 16th is the Martin Luther King breakfast. If you want to sponsor a table or get a ticket, just call the school or get a hold of me. Want to wish everybody a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. Like some have said, Christmas is about Jesus and God. And we are what we are by the grace of God. Don't forget that. If it wasn't for God, we wouldn't be here. Next meeting is January the 3rd. Need a motion to adjourn. Motion by Labutus, second by Mr. Howell.